Last time we discussed the general background of the Bhagavad Gita, where its physical location, the different ways in which we can look at it, etc. Today, or today and maybe the next time also, one or two sessions will be introductory. After that, we'll take up the actual study of the text. We'll take up after that. Today's session, like the one day before yesterday, will be no, the one on 8th February will be general and introductory. Today we will discuss a very some very crucial things. In the Vedas, there is a in the Vedas there is a very important phrase. Kasmai देवाय हविषा विधेम. वो कौन सा देवता है जिसको हम आहुति चढ़ाएं जब यज्ञ करें? When we do a yajna, we pour libations into that fire. So who is that God whom we are supposed to invoke? कसमय किस देवता को हम आहुति चढ़ाएं? कसमय हवि कहते हैं ना आहुति को, हविषा विधेम. किस देवता का ध्यान करें, आराधना करें, उपासना करें जब हम यज्ञ में वो आहुति चढ़ाएं. The Gita also insists throughout, fix your mind on me. The essence of the teaching of the Gita is fixation of the mind, individual mind on the supreme object of love and devotion. Everything else is secondary, everything is a kind of preparation for this, everything else is a kind build up for this. This is the high point, this is the climax of the teaching of the Gita. So today we will discuss this crucial question कि वो लॉर्ड कृष्ण जो बार बार कहते हैं मुझ में ध्यान लगाओ, तुम हो कौन? हु आर यू जिसमें तुम लोगों को कहते हो कि मुझ में ध्यान लगाओ? तो पहले ये तो पता लगे कि तुम हो कौन. If you love somebody, it is only when you know something about that person. You can't love somebody about whom you don't know anything. Is it possible? It's not. Either you should have interacted or you should have seen that person in physical form. Some basic knowledge should act as a kind of opening for you to start developing fondness for and affection. So in the case of the Purushottama of the Gita, Lord Krishna, I mean, normally we don't get to see him. So वो कैसे पता लगाए जाए कि वो किस तरह का व्यक्ति है? In Christian theology, there is a term known as hypostasis. Hypostasis means speculation on the nature of divinity. भगवान क्या है? Is when we think of God, भगवान को ये चीज अच्छी लगती है, ये चीज अच्छी नहीं लगती. ऐसे करोगे तो भगवान खुश हो जाएंगे, भगवान नाराज हो जाएंगे. All these mental notions we have. So, but what is that God? Is he in Rome? There is the Vatican where the Pope resides. In the Vatican, there is a very famous chapel known as the Sistine Chapel. It was painted by Michelangelo. And I mean, for your general information, I am telling you, it's a fantastic thing. See, it's a huge dome. He has painted it on that dome. It is the dawn of creation. When, according to the Bible, God, the Supreme God, created this world, उसको डिपिक्ट किया. उसकी जो टेक्निकल चीज है वो It is mind-boggling. That dome from the ground is 60 feet high. 60 feet high. कैसे पेंट? How did he paint it? He built a scaffolding और वहां एक तख्ता ऐसे बिछाया, उसके ऊपर ऐसे लेट के ऐसे पेंट कर. He could tumble down this way, he could tumble down that way. और वो पॉट ऑफ पेंट अलग अलग कलर्स, पहले उनको ग्राउंड लेवल पे सारा पैलेट पे मैच करना है एग्जैक्ट शेड, फिर वो पॉट को ऊपर कैरी करके लटका के फिर ब्रश को डिप करके ऐसे पेंट करके थोड़ा सा पेंट करके फिर उतरना. फिर क्यों सी दी दैट पेंटिंग इज नॉट मेंट टू बी व्यूड फ्रॉम 1 feet बिलो इट, इट हैज टू बी व्यूड फ्रॉम द ग्राउंड. तो जब यहां से वो कैसा लगेगा, वो कैसे पता लगेगा? उतर के ही तो पता लगेगा. तो बार 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 चढ़ना उतरना, कमर के बल लेट के ऐसे थोड़ा सा पेंट करके फिर उतरना, फिर. और वो इट्स ए ह्यूज डोम. इट टुक हिम several perhaps a year or two. Rose, it's a drill, climbing 25-30 times up and down, up and down. That is how he painted it. तो उसमें वो जो उसने डिपिक्ट किया है, वो उसने गॉड, जो गॉड को जेहोवा जिसको कि बाइबल में कहते, गॉड द फादर, he has depicted God the Father as a very muscular masculine figure with a very stern look in his eyes and a beard, and from above he is staring down at the world below in a very sort of strict and harsh stare. It's not a benign or affectionate stare. It's very, what they would call a censorious, very eager to pass, to criticize and find fault, disapproving look. So is God that? What is God? We say God, God, God. What do we mean by God? So this is the theme of today's talk. In the Gita, Lord Krishna says, I am the Purushottama. Purushottama means the transcendent person. It's a difficult concept. आराम से इसको सुनिए. When you say to transcend means what? When you say to transcend means what? To go beyond. So when you say something is transcendent, it means you are comparing that with something else. It goes beyond one thing and it becomes something else. So what is it that it transcends? It transcends this world. That person transcends this world. So when we say that he transcends this world, it means that he goes beyond the normal features of this world. So first we have to examine what are those features. When every day we experience the world around ourselves, what do we notice? Firstly, constant movement, interaction, flux, and in Sanskrit there are two words which both mean this thing. Jagat. Jagat means what? The world. Sansar means what? World. From where does this word Sansar and Jagat originate? The word Jagat originates from the Sanskrit word root, what they call dhatu, gam. Gam means movement, gati. For gam dhatu say you have gati, and it is from the gam dhatu that you have Ganga, जिसमें इतने वो नहा रहे हैं जाके करोड़ों लोग. Gam is, so Jagat means that which is in constant movement. Same thing with Sansar. Sansar word originates from the Sri Dhatu. Sri Dhatu means Saratra. उससे संसार बनता है, जिसमें सरकने की मूवमेंट कॉन्स्टेंटली रिपीट होती है, दैट इज संसार. जो इन अदर वर्ड विच इज इन ए स्टेट ऑफ constant flux, constant movement. And a Greek philosopher हुआ है Heraclitus, and Shri Aurobindo in his youth wrote a book on Heraclitus. It is there, a small booklet. वो Heraclitus की यही philosophy थी कि the only constant thing about this world is that it is always flowing. It is never steady. और हेराक्लिटस की एक बड़ी फेमस सेइंग है, यू कैनॉट डिप इनटू द सेम रिवर ट्वाइस. बाय द टाइम यू हैव फिनिश्ड द फर्स्ट डिप and you are ready for the second dip, that water has flowed and you will be dipping into a new river. So sansar and jagat are the two terms for this world, and this is the reason. So when we look at this world around ourselves, our first experience is constant movement. और इसको ईशा उपनिषद के पहले श्लोक में ही कहा है, जगत्याम जगत. जगत्याम जगत मीन्स individual whirling movement in the universal whirling movement. So we are also like those what are they called, bhavar, whirlpools. We are small whirlpools in a larger pond of water which is also whirling. So इसका श्री अरविंद ने ट्रांसलेशन किया, इंडिविजुअल whirling motion in the universal whirling movement. This is our relation with the cosmos around us. As individuals, what is our relations with the cosmos? When you sit at that Harki Paudi in Haridwar, you see the water flowing, and in that you have small whirlpools that form. So the relation, both are water. The whirlpool and the river, both are the same water, but the whirlpool is individualized. So it's an individualized, self-limited quantity of water in the universal whirlpool of the cosmos. So this is the first experience that we have of this world. Constant flux and movement, whirling. The second is interaction. Interaction. This interaction can be of many kinds. It can be of cause and effect. Two events can be related, one is cause, the other is effect, or it can be a clash, or it can be a tug. There is different kinds of relationships are possible, and so that is the second feature. The third feature is infinite diversity and infinite multiplicity. If you look at the world around you, what do you notice? See the number of separate kinds, like first, any number of metals, primary metal elements. It's about 104 of something, basic elements, hydrogen, oxygen, etc. So that is the primary. Then you have compounds, molecules, which are combinations of these basic elements. And then you have other combinations of these compounds like wood. Wood is carbon, hydrogen, etc. and combined and all. And then you come to the cellular creatures, unicellular, multicellular. Now take for instance the category of one species is cat, feline, the other is dog, canine, right? Now among cats you have infinite variety. You have all kinds of cats, tabby, this. Same with dogs, German Shepherd, Labrador, this, that, Golden Retriever, so many kinds of dogs. And then in each kind there is a huge number. There are 10 types of ants, and of each type there are millions. So, diversity and multiplicity are the other two features of this world. These are the basic features. When we say that something transcends them, it means what? It is beyond all these. That is why you say it is transcending. So, what does it transcend? So, we cannot know the nature of that Supreme Being directly, but we can surmise, we can know it indirectly. So, another feature of this manifested universe is space and time. So, when we say it transcends, it is spaceless, it is beyond space. It transcends time. Someday we will discuss, Shri Aurobindo has discussed the three different kinds of time. But for the purpose of the present talk, it is beyond time. It is spaceless, it is timeless. It is causeless. Everything in this world comes into existence because it is preceded by some other event which is its cause. So, if it transcends this world, it is also causeless. Or one of the definitions which we will see about that supreme being is it is the uncaused cause of this universe. It is the cause of this universe, but there is nothing which has caused it. It is Swayambhu. In the Isha Upanishad, they have said, Sapariyagat Shukram Akayam Avra Asnaviram Paribhu Manishi Paribhu Swayam. He became everything else, this whole world, but he is self created. He is Swayambhu. Everything else he has created. But as for himself, he has created himself. Now listen, analyze this idea. When we say that something has created itself, it means what? इसकी implication क्या है? Pardon? It is eternal. It will take time to sink into digest. परिभू तो जो सुप्रीम बीइंग है उसने बनाया, पर उसको किसने बनाया? अगर उसने अपने आप को खुद अपने आप को बनाया तो ही वॉज ऑलरेडी देयर टू क्रिएट हिमसेल्फ, which and then who created him? So that is known as infinite regress. So in other words, he is eternal. This is the interesting connotation or repercussion of the term स्वयंभू, self created. वो उपनिषद कहता है सपर्यगाच अकायम अवृणम अस्नाविरम शुद्धम अपाप विद्धम परि मनीषी परिभू स्वयं. ही इज द परिषी, परिभू सारा बनाने वाला, पर खुद को अपने आप बनाया उसने. इसका मतलब वो शाश्वत. Because everything else that he creates is temporal. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But when he creates himself, he is eternal. That means he is without a beginning, anadi, without a middle, and without an end, anant. So these are the first features of that transcendent being. Now we come to the next part. When you say that he is a transcendent person, Lord Krishna is the Purushottama. He is a Purusha. Purusha means what? He is a person, isn't it? It's simple that. But he is an Uttam Purush. He is Uttam Purush because he is beyond space, time, cause, effect, motion, all this. But he is a person. Being a person means what? That also has very serious implications. He may not have a body. This is the main difficulty why we can't think of a transcendent person. Because in our minds, from the beginning, we are accustomed to associate a person with a fixed body and form. We cannot think of a person, an individual who is bodiless. We cannot think of a bodiless person. See, even when you receive a phone call from some unknown number, you don't know that person, but you will not believe that he is bodiless. You will believe that he has a body and a shape and all. It's just that you are not familiar with it. But you will not believe that he is without a body. So this is the problem with the concept of the Purushottama, that he is a person but he is bodiless. Now being a person, okay, he is bodiless, that only tells us what he is not. It doesn't tell us what he is. When you say about a person, an individual, the primary, most important implication is that you can have a relationship with him. If someone is a person, means he is a conscious being. He is a conscious being. To be consciousness means to be conscious means having consciousness. So one of his features is he is conscious. So today we will discuss the full meaning of the term Satchidanand. Because Satchidanand are the three attributes which describe the nature, the personality of that supreme person. See, when you talk about an individual, somebody may be very generous, someone may be very patient. So patience, generosity, kindness, what are these? These are qualities. So Sat, existence, Chit, consciousness, and Anand, these are the basic personality traits of the Purushottam. Is it clear? When its class teacher fills in a student's report card, there they have a column personality traits. What sort of person is he? He is active or lazy or very balanced or restless or rajasic, whatever. So that you have to make those entries. So the Purushottama's basic personality traits are Sat, Chit and Anand. So far, is it clear? Or we can take a break of 2 minutes if you have some question. Because it's all new and it will take time to digest. And one request I have, normally speakers tell the audience, ध्यान से दोनों कान खोल के सुनो. I don't say that. I say एक कान खोल के सुनो. अगर दोनों खुले होंगे तो इससे जाएगा और उससे बाहर. अगर एक बंद होगा तो जो अंदर जाएगा वो अंदर ही टिकेगा. तो मैं आपसे ये अनुरोध नहीं करूंगा कि दोनों कान खोल के सुनो, एक ही कान खोल. What is the so this is the meaning of Sat Chit Anand. Now we will discuss the implications of Sat Chit Anand. So these are the basic traits, personality traits of the Supreme Being, Lord Krishna, the Purushottam. And I told you that in Christian theology you have that term hypostasis, which means discussion regarding the nature of divinity. See, हम जब कहते हैं कि इससे भगवान जी खुश हो जाएंगे, ये करोगे तो भगवान जी नाराज हो जाएंगे, he will punish you, he will be. We are actually doing what Shankaracharya ji calls adhyarop. Adhyarop is imposing our own mental formations on the Supreme. Just as we become happy if something happens or become unhappy if something happens, we imagine that God is also like us. किसी बात से वो खुश हो जाता है, किसी बात से वो नाराज हो जाता है. पर गीता में 6 चैप्टर में कहेंगे भगवान कृष्ण, नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापम न चैव सुकृतम विभु. अज्ञानेनावृतम ज्ञानम तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तव। मैं ना किसी के अच्छे कर्म का क्रेडिट लेता हूँ, ना किसी के बुरे कर्म का दोष लेता हूँ। People act the way they do because they their minds are surrounded by ignorance. अज्ञानेन आवृतम ज्ञानम, उनके अंदर जो ज्ञान है वो ढका हुआ है अज्ञान के आवरण से। अज्ञान तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तव, इसलिए पीपल आर सफर बिकॉज इन अदर वर्ड्स ही इज, बट वी स्टिल टेंड टू थिंक कि he rewards virtue and punishes sin. That is a strong mindset. So this is the, so now let us go into this question. Sat. What is Sat? Sat in ordinary language is ये बात सच्ची है, ये झूठी है. What does it mean? True. That is, you have given another synonym.
That you person.
Pardon?
That one person. For you it is true, for me and not true.
Whether it is for me or you or for everyone or for nobody. But what is Sat? Truth. What is truth?
There is no contradiction.
No contradiction. No contradiction. But actual meaning of Sat is which exists. Falsehood or untruth is something which cannot exist. Say for instance, someone makes a statement that on February 23rd, Prashant Khanna was in the Shri Aurobindo ashram. Is it true or false at this time? False. Why? It contradicts my presence here. And both the statements are mutually exclusive. They cannot simultaneously exist. So either I was there or I am here. But I cannot be, unless we go into quantum mechanics, present at the same time in both places. So this is basically, Sat means that which exists. It is only falsehood which does not exist. That is why it is false. So now let us go further deeper into this question as to what is the meaning of existence. When we say that something exists, what do we mean? कभी सोचा आपने? We take this word for granted all the time in our language, in our speech, in our sentences. We are using the word ये है, ये नहीं है, ये है, ये नहीं है. होने का क्या मतलब है? Pardon? When we say, हैं? हाँ, वो अनुभव होने का क्या मतलब? There can be non-sensory things. You can have thoughts. When you solve an equation of algebra, there is no sensory perception involved, but it is there. Basically, I mean, I'm giving you, you can go back and think over all this. When we say that something exists, it means that it has an ability, it has a feature, a quality, an ability to force you to take account of its presence. When we say that something exists, it means that it will force itself on your consciousness. You must have all had this experience कि कभी कभी बेध्यानी से जब चलो तो तुम्हारी टांग शिन बोन किसी पैर के पाए से टकरा जाती and you experience acute pain. What happens? The presence of that leg forces itself on your attention. You have to take it into account. You cannot wish it away, you cannot ignore it. If I want to go from here outside and that door is closed, I have to take the presence of that closed door into account for the fulfillment of my purpose. I can't just tell myself, no, no, ये डोर वोर ऐसे ही बकवास है, कोई डोर नहीं है. When I go there, it will hit me and it will force me to take account of its. So existence is intimately, the meaning of the term existence is intimately linked to consciousness. I take account of this, but this does not take account of it because it has no consciousness. It has no sensation. So the first feature of Satchidanand is it is pure, it exists. That is one of its, yes. The other background about it is, now come to this. The Upanishads, or what is called the Vedanta, we discussed last time that mainly it is the Upanishads which are called the Vedanta. The Vedanta says that the Supreme Being is, or you can say the Brahman, is avarnaniya. Avarnaniya means which cannot be described. और इसका इंग्लिश में एक वर्ड है ineffable. Ineffable means something which cannot be described. It is avarnaniya and avachaniya. Avachaniya means जिसको शब्दों में नहीं कहा जा सकता, which cannot be described in speech. So this is avarnaniya, avachaniya. That is the nature of the Supreme Being, and Lord Krishna repeats it in the Gita also. Then how do we know that it has Sat Chit Anand? These are its primary personality traits. ये कैसे पता लगा? अगर वो अवर्णनीय है और अवचनीय है, तो ये बात का एहसास हुआ कैसे? So this is what the Vedanta says, and Shri Aurobindo says it even more. He says that in order to get knowledge, in order to receive knowledge, we have been granted three means. तीन तरह से हमें information मिली. One is through the senses. I see all of you sitting here, so I know that you are sitting in front of me. So that is sense experience. The other is through reasoning and logic. In reasoning and logic, sometimes you can dispense with sense experience. Sometimes. And the simple example is A is taller than B. B is taller than C. So A is taller than C. Now you don't need to make A, B and C stand side by side and measure them and come. You can, by sheer force of logic and reasoning, you can come to that conclusion that A necessarily is taller than C. It is not that he is being taller than C is something coincidental. By force of logic, if he is taller than B and B is taller than C, then by necessity he must be taller than C. Isn't it clear? So this is the second means of getting knowledge or information or not. And all algebra, all logic, so many calculations, etc. are based on this. Take for instance, in mathematics you have the number pi. What does pi represent? It's a ratio between circumference and diameter. Now, similarly, in mathematics, you have the number iota. What is iota? And that is a secondary meaning, something very less. But the primary meaning of iota is square root of -1. अब इसमें देखो क्या complication. When you multiply a number by itself, it gives you the square of that number. Now if you multiply -1 by -1, it should give you 1. तो -1 का क्या स्क्वायर रूट? What is the number which multiplied by itself will give you -1? ऐसा कोई नंबर है ही नहीं। तो बट लॉजिकली देर मस्ट बी, सो उसको नाम इन्होंने आयोटा दिया। आयोटा इज द स्क्वायर रूट ऑफ -1 एंड in algebra, though it does not represent anything in the physical world like 1 does, or -1 square root square does 1, but still it is used in algebra all the time. Iota, -1 square root. So this is all based, this is the notion of reality which we get through the mind. So one means of information is sense experience, the other is logical thinking. There is the third, which is intuition. Intuition has two dimensions. One is actual intuition and the other is how it operates at the lower level. At the lower level, it operates as instinct. Instinct. Who tells an ant how to build an ant hill? Who tells a bee how to build a beehive? And I am telling you, if you go into that process, it is very complicated. See, first those bees go and suck nectar from the flowers. Then they eat it. And what we call honey is the excreta of those bees. They excrete it and fill those holes in the beehive with that with their excreta. And then, because it is very liquid, it has a high index of fluidity. Those bees, they surround that beehive and fan it and cool it so that it thickens. Who teaches them all कि ये सब करें? तो चींटियों को देखो, अगर तुम कोई दाना फेंक दो, किस तरह से वो अपने आप को ऑर्गेनाइज करेंगी और फिर उसको उठा के अपने बिल में ले जाएंगे। Who teaches them? They don't go to any class, nothing, no course, diploma, nothing. How do they know it? This is basically instinct working at a lower level, intuition working at a lower level. At the higher level, it is intuition. और लाइफ डिवाइन में श्री अरविंद का एक चैप्टर है मेथड्स ऑफ वेदांतिक नॉलेज, उसमें उन्होंने बताया है कि वेदांत में देयर इज लॉट ऑफ reliance on this means of acquiring knowledge, which is intuition. Intuition में what happens is it is some kind of direct perception. It's not the result, it's not a conclusion based on logical thinking. You directly know something. Instinct या intuition कह लो, रामकृष्ण ने एग्जाम्पल दिया है, बहुत सुंदर है। कहते हैं कि आमतौर पे लोगों के घरों में वो माइयाँ आती हैं काम करने, झाड़ू पोछा। समटाइम्स ए डोमेस्टिक माई, शी ब्रिंग्स हर न्यू बॉर्न बेबी, यंग बेबी, तो वो क्या करती है, वो उसको वो धोती में बांध के उसका वो एक झूला सा बना के उसमें लिटा दे और अपना वो झाड़ू पोछा बर्तन करना चाहिए। पर अगर वो बेबी को फीड चाहिए या इट नीड्स चेंज ऑफ नैपीज, or it is crying, it needs something. Even if she can't hear the baby crying, she comes to know. How? That is a mixture of instinct and intuition. And she goes to attend to the baby. At a still higher level, you have people like Newton. How did he come think of gravity? That is intuition. And if you go deep into the history of physics and chemistry and all, you will see that many of the great theories started with an intuitive flash. Then, with the logical reasoning, they worked it out and they built the scaffolding of the whole theory. But the initial trigger was an intuitive flash. Suddenly, something happened and they got. And on a very personal note, I am telling you, I have experienced it any number of times. You see, because I take these classes and very often or quite often I come across situations where I may understand something, but I am not able to understand how to get it across to others, either through an example or an analogy or some other way of explaining. And now, supposing the class is today, so and from 2-3 days before I will start working on this के ये point कैसे clear किया है. And I am telling you many times two things have happened. Either when I stood before the image of the mother and Shri Aurobindo in the ashram meditation hall and I prayed, suddenly something came. From ऊपर से या नीचे अंदर से वो आ गया कि ऐसे समझाओ तो बड़ा easy हो. और either this way or early in the morning when I wake up, I am in half, and I have been thinking of it before going to bed the previous night. When I wake up early in the morning in half sleep, suddenly I find the solution to the problem. So, so this is basically intuition. This is another means of acquiring knowledge. Am I clear? So sense experience, logical reasoning, intuitive flash. Then there is a fourth, which Shri Aurobindo's chapter में methods of Vedantic knowledge में discuss. He has discussed mainly two, intuition and the fourth, which is knowledge by identity. Here, you and in ordinary language, this knowledge by identity is described by these terms. Sympathy. See, there are several, apart from homeopathy and allopathy, there are other pathies also. One is apathy. Apathy means indifference. You are not bothered either way. For instance, some people, they are apathetic to religion. Nehru was like that. He said, even if God exists, I am not interested. He said, I am not interested in breaking my head on whether God exists or not. Because I feel I have much more worthwhile things to do in the world rather than break my head on this silly question. That was his. So he was apathetic, indifferent, either way. Then there is antipathy. Antipathy means hostile attitude. You are against something. So you believe that it is there, but you are against it. Then there is sympathy, that जिसको हम सहानुभूति कहते हैं. And then the final is empathy, when inwardly you are aligned with that person emotionally. You are one with that person, like the relation between a mother and child. There is empathy. I mean, they are on the same emotional wavelength. So, empathy, but the highest, these are the lower forms, but the highest is knowledge by identity. When you become one with that object. And whatever that object experiences, you also experience. And there are examples of this. It is said, if you read the life of Ramakrishna, that sometimes अगर कोई घोड़ा गाड़ी चला रहा है और घोड़े को चाबुक मार रहा है तो those marks would appear on his back. चाबुक के निशान उनकी पीठ पे आ जाते हैं. वो ब्लेक एक इंग्लिश पोएट है, उसकी लाइन है, ए हॉर्स मिसयूज्ड अपॉन द रोड डथ मेक एन एंजल सीज टू सी. वो उसका असर वहां तक जाता है. So that these are manifestations of empathy. But basically, the highest form of knowledge is knowledge by identity. And when we will study the Gita, I will come across to this where Lord Krishna says, गीता में और उपनिषदों में कहा है, नायम आत्मा प्रवचने न लभ्यो, ये जो आत्मा है ये ज्यादा डिस्कशन से नहीं पाई जाती, ज्यादा पढ़ने से नहीं पाई, ज्यादा चर्चा से नहीं पाई। नायम आत्मा प्रवचने न लभ्यो न मेधया, ना बहुत समझ से, न बहुना श्रुतेन, ना बहुत पढ़ने से, यमेश वृणुते तेनेव लभ्य, जिसको ये चुनती है उसी के द्वारा पाई जाती है। दिस इज व्हाट दी उपनिषद से, तमेश विवृणुतम तनुम स्वाम, और उसको वो अपने आप को पूरी तरह से अर्पित करती है। एंड इसका श्री अरविंद ने फैंटास्टिक सेंटेंस है, यू कैन नोट इट डाउन इफ यू लाइक। He who chooses the infinite, he who chooses the infinite has been chosen by the infinite. इसका क्या मतलब? इसका मतलब ये है कि हमारी आम साधारण चेतना बाहरी संसार में इतनी उलझी हुई होती कि उससे अपने आप को विड्रॉ करके भगवान में ध्यान लगाना कोई इंसान सिर्फ तब करता है जब उस परमात्मा ने उसको चुन लिया है ये काम करने के लिए। नहीं तो वो सांसारिक जीवन में ही उलझा रहने के काफी खुश है। इज क्वाइट हैप्पी टू रिमेन इन्वॉल्व कंप्लीटली इन वर्ल्डलीनेस। I told you what that those people told Lord Buddha. In other words, one makes this choice. An individual makes this choice of choosing the infinite only when he is prodded from behind by the infinite to make his choice. Otherwise, he never does it. He is quite happy to live in the world. Ramakrishna used to say कि हम लोग कहते हैं God, God, God. Who wants God? Nobody wants God. What people want is sansarik sukh. They want worldly happiness by God's grace. Everyone wants the benefit of God's grace. Nobody wants God's consciousness. This is what Ramakrishna. कि हम भगवान की कृपा के इच्छुक हैं, हमें भगवान की चेतना की जरूरत है। एंड यू कैन सी इट, जब भी आप किसी से सुनोगे कि भगवान की कृपा से ये हुआ वो हुआ, वो क्या था? कोई वर्ल्डली प्रॉब्लम थी, लास्ट मिनट पे सीट मिल गई फ्लाइट पे, वो पहले नहीं मिल रही थी, फिर किसी ने लास्ट मिनट पे कैंसिल किया, भगवान की कृपा, राइट? रेलवे ट्रेन में या हॉस्पिटल में एडमिशन, समथिंग लाइक दैट। हैव यू एवर हर्ड समवन से कि मुझे गीता समझ में नहीं आ रही थी और भगवान की कृपा से अब समझ में आ रही? कभी सुना है किसी को कहते माँ वैष्णो देवी के दर्शन के बाद मुझे उपनिषदों में जो बातें कही हैं वो समझ में आने लगी, पहले नहीं आती? कभी सुना है किसी को ये कहते? नेवर। इट इज सो वी आर इन लव विद वर्ल्डलीनेस. वी वांट वर्ल्डलीनेस but to see, basically in our heart of hearts we know that all worldly pleasures have a dual aspect. It's like a rose with its thorns. So secretly we want the rose but not the thorn. भगवान की ग्रेस शुड एक्ट लाइक ए फिल्टर, वो कांटों को अलग कर दे और रोज हमें मिल जाए. वी वॉन्ट टू ईट द केक एंड हैव इट. We don't, why? Otherwise, we feel that in the process of eating the cake, we will lose the cake. So we want both, but we don't want God's consciousness. That is the important.
Not yet.
Pardon?
Not yet.
Huh? Not yet तो है ही, पर वो okay. I'll close with some interesting anecdote because it's been quite a heavy session today. One is, what he reminded me is एक क्रिश्चियन रिलीजन का फाउंडर हुआ है सेंट ऑगस्टाइन. ही इज वन ऑफ द फाउंडर्स ऑफ द क्रिश्चियन रिलीजन. He has written a book, Confessions. Confessions में he writes frankly of everything inside. कुछ छुपाता नहीं. तो वो कहता है कि मैं जब भगवान की तरह मुड़ा भी और जीसस क्राइस्ट वगैरह का, तो मैं मुद्दत तक फॉर अ वेरी लॉन्ग टाइम जब भगवान से प्रार्थना करता था, तो वो प्रार्थना इन शब्दों में निकलती थी मेरे अंदर से. मेक मी होली ओ लॉर्ड. हे प्रभु मुझे पवित्र बनाओ, बट नॉट येट. मतलब अभी थोड़ा टाइम दो, जल्दबाजी मत कर. आई एम नॉट इन ए हरी टू बिकम प्योर. मेक मी होली ओ लॉर्ड. मेक मी होली ओ लॉर्ड, बट नॉट येट. This is Saint Augustine's confession. Similarly, in the case of Lord Buddha, Anand was his chief disciple, and he asked Lord Buddha, "Why don't you give your knowledge to the people in the city?" So Buddha said, "You go and tell them that outside the city a gentleman is parked under a tree. You go to him, and he will give you that knowledge which will make you free from suffering for the rest of your life." What a great thing! You will be free from suffering for the rest of your life, and there is no registration fee, no contribution, nothing, free of cost in every way. He said, "You go and tell them, and in the evening tell me what they say." So in the evening, Anand came and told Lord Buddha that I told the Grihasthis कि ऐसे एक सज्जन बैठे हैं. So they said, "What did they say?" They said, "Who told you we are unhappy?" बात ही खत्म. तुम किसी को कहो कि एक वैद्य जी हैं, वो हर बीमारी को ठीक कर देंगे, वो कहेगा मुझे कोई बीमारी आई नहीं, तो मुझे वैद्य जी के पास जाने की क्या जरूरत, मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ. दिस इज सो बेसिकली वी ओनली वांट worldly happiness with supplemented by God's grace. We don't want God's consciousness. Look at Draupadi. She was helped in her crisis. After that, Jairam ji ki. She didn't ever tell Lord Krishna that I want that consciousness. वो crisis khatam, bye bye. That is the main thing. So now we come to Sat. Sat is the ability to impinge on consciousness. What is consciousness? Consciousness is Chit. Chit is conscious, and consciousness is what? See, Sat is the ability to impinge on consciousness. Consciousness is the ability to be impinged upon. एक रबर की शीट है, उस पे तुम एक पत्थर मारो, तो पत्थर उस पे जाके अपना असर करेगा. दैट इज एग्जिस्टेंस. पर वो शीट जब उससे फैलेगी इम्पैक्ट से, दैट इज शीट के टेक्सचर में कोई चेंज आएगी ना, व्हेन दैट इम्पैक्ट कम, दैट चेंज इज द चेंज इन द टेक्सचर ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस. इसका सिंपल एग्जांपल है, वो दिल्ली में वो कॉलोनी है ना वेस्ट में, रोहिणी, वहां क्या खास बात, टीवी टावर. फिर दिल्ली में जो जितने वो टीवी सिग्नल हैं वो वहां से आते. तो सत इज दैट टीवी टावर emitting those signals all the time. Clear? वो तो emit कर रही है. Chit is your TV antenna which receives it. That is consciousness. Consciousness is the ability. So, in simpler terms, you can say existence is the ability to become an object of experience. Existence is the ability to become an object of experience and no, sorry, existence is the ability to generate experience. Chit is the ability to become an object of it. It is only if you have chit that you can experience something. This can't experience anything. Because when you experience something, you generally react. If I tap this very hard, I will get pain. But इसको कोई फर्क नहीं. So this is Sat is this, Chit is the ability to undergo experience of an object. And Ananda is what happens when Chit is disturbed, when fluctuation takes place in Chit. So you have a pond, it is absolute, the water is calm and placid. So you throw a stone, that is Sat. It creates ripples. The generation of those ripples in the pond is Chit. The changes that consciousness undergoes because of the impact of Sat. And those changes are Ananda, that is the, you can say, the difference that comes about inside Chit because of the impact of Sat. So let us take the example of the TV tower. The TV tower emits signals, that is Sat. Your antenna catches those signals, that is Chit. And when you listen to Lata Mangeshkar or whoever singing and you feel happy, that is Anand. The only difference is that at the lower level, some sensations for us are Anand, some are unhappy. Some sensations are happy, some are unhappy. At that highest level, there is only happy. There is no unhappy. Because of our ego, generally some sensations make us happy, generally because they facilitate our individual existence. We feel happy. This will make life easier, makes us feel happy. And others are which make us feel unhappy, which means that they are contrary to our existence. They don't facilitate. So basically, Anand is the experience of changes inside consciousness generated by the impact of Sat. Sat, Chit, and Anand, these are the three personality traits of the Satchidanand. But one last thing that you have to keep in mind is that, see, Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, and Anand is also bliss. What sort of, this is simple grammar, what sort of words are these? They are nouns. Existence, consciousness, bliss. Isn't they are nouns? What sort of nouns? Abstract. They are abstract. You cannot isolate existence in a test tube and say, ये देख लो, ये existence है. It's not possible. They are qualities. Now, this is what Sri Aurobindo says, that here intuition comes into play. Intuitively we come to that qualities can only exist as attributes of an object. They cannot exist independent. As I said, you cannot isolate existence or consciousness and show it in a test tube. Existence, consciousness, bliss are attributes of an object. That object is the Purushottam, जिसकी ये पर्सनैलिटी ट्रेट्स है, सत, चित एंड आनंद. सी फॉर इंस्टेंस दिस टेबल, इसकी क्या क्वालिटीज है? स्मूथनेस, सरफेस इज स्मूथ, इट इज हार्ड, it is rectangular, it is cream color. All these are abstract qualities. But by themselves you will never see cream color. You will never see hardness. You will never experience smoothness. What you will actually experience are objects which are hard, smooth, cream color and rectangular. So, in other words, existence, consciousness, bliss. This is an intuitive perception that these are the primary personality traits of Satchidanand and the Purushottama. They are the attributes of him. Primary, he has other attributes also, but these are his primary traits. We'll stop here. If you, I leave it to you. I agree that today has been a heavy session. Go back and think over all this. If you like, I can repeat it next time. Otherwise, we will move on. You let me know. Either I will repeat it, or if you feel that enough is enough and you want something else, then I'll do that next time. I'll do something else. And then I'll come prepared for that. So please let me know by Friday or Thursday. When do we meet next, by the way? Ah, so ninth is fixed. So by ninth you will have enough time to know whether you want a repetition or you want to move ahead. But please now make sure that you have your copies of that book, The Message of the Gita, everyone. And so you let me know, because probably I'll have to do some more by way of introduction even in the ninth. But then we'll take up the text shortly, maybe one more introductory session, and then we'll take up the text. So that's all for today. Thank you.